Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review A Dog's Way Home. So this is another adaptation of the same book series that brought us A Dog's Purpose, and apparently there's A Dog's Journey coming out in May or something like that, which is a sequel to that. And I can see why they make films like this, because it's cute dogs, and dogs have voices, and there should be like a family affair and stuff like that. And the trailers really just come off as looking like these are Hallmark movies released in theaters, and they're good Hallmark movies released in theaters, because after sitting and watching this film by Charles Martin Smith, fun fact, who is an actor and was in The Untouchables and films like that, this film is alright, I guess. It's kind of in that middle ground of this isn't horrible. There are moments where this film really does work, and it does have a cohesive story, and it's still really melodramatic and really manipulative at parts. Because, right at the start of this film, just like A Dog's Purpose, this is going for the heartstrings and is going for tears, because it does boom, right off the bat, there you go. And some of the big takeaways, I guess, from this film is the way that this film is shot and put together. It's very, very sterile, really bright. Everything's so bright. All the cinematography is really bright and obnoxious. And there isn't really any nuance to the cinematography. The music feels very generic, feel good and upbeat, and then feel sad. And it's really straightforward and cliched, and this film's cliched. A lot of the stuff that you expect to happen in this movie happens in this movie. It has some interesting... tries to have some interesting things to say about certain laws in terms of dogs. This really goes after the laws in Denver, Colorado about banning pit bulls, and then it deals with, on a very surface level, the effect that animals can have on veterans and how it could help them with their trauma, and those things are nice things to bring to attention. Did they have to be super heavy-handed? No. And this movie is super heavy-handed with everything. And even from the vocal performance of Bryce Dallas Howard as Bella the dog, it's really boom, really screaming, really squealy, super just intense for 3/4 of this movie, and it was too much for me. I appreciated how at least in A Dog's Purpose, it took me a little while to figure out that the dog was Josh Gad, because he wasn't squealing and screaming like Josh Gad, and it was more subtle. This one, it gets obnoxious a lot of the time, and you could also tell it really feels like Bryce Dallas Howard is reading from a script. It doesn't feel supernatural a lot of the time, and that kind of took me out of the movie. And in terms of pacing, I never felt bored during this movie. It always had a decent pace. It was going places. It did after a while get a bit aimless, because the whole idea of this is this dog's trying to get home for a decent chunk of this movie, and it's just how many more bad things can this dog go through to get back home? And that's always a tricky thing about survival, because this is, if you take a step back, this is a wilderness survival film, and that's a criticism that I have a lot about a lot of these films, where it just gets oh my god, how much more can you possibly do to this person? And Revenant, that movie was how much more can you possibly do to this man? You kind of felt that a little bit in this movie with the dog. One of my biggest criticisms of this film is you can tell the budget's low, because, oh my god, the CGI is bad. It looks like a video game animation, and there's mountain lions, there's wolves, there's an avalanche. They CGI the dog a couple times, and it just looks bad, and it just takes you out of the movie. But there are some actually really strong, emotionally resonant moments in this film that I really appreciated, and there are some dark, mature moments too, and I'm wow, I didn't think this movie would have went there and would have portrayed this way. There's one particular sequence in regards to like a homeless veteran that, whew, that really hit hard. But a lot of the dialogue's really cliched. A lot of the performances are just either or just kind of stiff, and that's including Jonah Howard King, who plays the main character, and Ashley Judd. Both of them just kind of feel like they're there to read their lines. They do it fine, but there's nothing special. I appreciated Alexandra Shipp, and she had a fun, smaller role. There's a couple of actors that do pop up in this movie that you probably didn't expect, like Edward James Olmos and Wes Studi both pop up in this movie, and they add a little gravitas to their small roles, and you appreciate them on screen, and it's because they're very talented actors. And overall, this movie is really melodramatic and manipulative. There are some moments that really do hit and are resonant, and overall it's just like, it's a lot of sugar. It's like, it's supposed to be a feel-good, manipulative, I'm going to take you on an emotional roller coaster kind of movie. And does it always work? No. And would I recommend this to everybody? No. If you just feel like you enjoy watching dogs and stuff like that, or you want a sweet, wholesome kind of film, this will make kids cry. Kids cried in the theater. I felt really bad. There's a couple of moments that were really dark, honestly, for little kids. So watch out for that, because your kids might get really upset in this movie. But if that's what you're kind of looking for, that's actually what you should be expecting from this movie. But that's my recommendation. If you're looking for something like that, this is your movie. If you're really looking for like a strong cinematic experience, this isn't it. But that's my thoughts on Dog's Way Home. Comment, let me know what you think. Let's talk movies, and thank you as always for supporting your Wasteland reviewer.